When we started writing this book, sometimes I call it memoir-like. It's also spiritual journey-like. It seems really narcissistic to us to write a memoir. Who wants to read our stories? Our wonderful publisher convinced us that some people might. So is it spiritual journey or is it about agriculture? And our answer to that is that it's both, yes. And it's becoming increasingly difficult to separate those two, that there's this integration of our body and soul that gets fleshed out powerfully for us here. That we look at our spiritual journey as one that is increasingly tied to understanding our place in this very long stream of life that begins with God's creation and continues long after we leave here. And we like that we are taking other people on that journey with us, our CSA families who read our newsletter. Some of them read our blog. Hopefully their stories are in this book. They'll read this book. That they also are recognizing in us that we're more than farmers. We're on a spiritual journey, and it's one that we're trying to live out our faith as we work the land and as we love the animals and as we seek gratitude and contentment in our life here.
One of the stories we tell in the book is a time where I was out in the garden with my daughter Megan Anna, and she had in her Moby wrap her little baby, my granddaughter Grace Auden, and we were all out there in the bean patch. And I remember having a pretty rich, deep conversation with Megan Anna about spiritual life. And so there we were picking beans, talking about spiritual life, and coming up with all kinds of interesting metaphors about how nature grows and how in fact you can't stop nature from growing, and how our spiritual life just sort of keeps moving forward in various ways. And at the same time, we at some point stopped, and I remember saying, it's not just metaphor though. There's something about the green bean itself that's just an amazing evidence of God's grace, God's care for creation to make something like this to sustain us, that would give us delight and the joy of growing and then the joy of eating. So yeah, it's a book about spiritual journeying, but it's also very much a book about agriculture and where the two come together.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the questions we sometimes get asked is does dirt make for life better? I love how the cover of Dirt and the Good Life has dirt in such big letters, because dirt gets a bad rap. We think of a dirty word as a bad word, or someone gets dirty and we think it's a bad thing. But dirt is just an amazing thing. If you take a shovelful of dirt, there's more life in that one shovelful, more living organisms than all the humans that have ever lived. Everything that we eat, everything that we treasure so much in life in terms of our food supply really emerges out of dirt. So dirt is really part of the good life for us. It's been something that we've just been amazed with, the power and the majesty and the goodness of dirt. I suppose it's sort of pretentious for us to have something about the good life in our title, Dirt and the Good Life, implying that we have that all figured out. Well, in a sense, I think we want to be clear and say that every culture, every person, every family, every individual probably has a different way of understanding the good life, and we're not trying to prescribe this is how you have to have a life that's good. And yet at the same time, we do feel like there are some common principles that cut through probably every culture, every soul, in terms of how it is that we find life to be good and meaningful and enriching.
Some of the ways that has played out for us, we've long tried to live beneath our means rather than at or above our means, which gives us more opportunities later to not have always spent more than we had. So living beneath our means, living more simply.
It probably means we're not always up on the latest styles,
yeah.
But at some point in your life, that seems less important too.